liberals up here are saying that, oh, the Arizonans are out of their mind. Well, you go live on the border and you go say if you're out of your mind. There's a war going on at that border. Not just a war, but a humanitarian disaster. I remember one summer, one of the mules was trying to bring, I think it was 25 women and children across the border in the dead of summer, 125 degrees. He abandoned them, and you had 25 women and children die in the desert. You have a humanitarian disaster going on there because we don't have a secure border. San Diego, they have a secure wall. When they built it, crime went down, and then the humanitarian disaster on the border went down as well. I believe Governor Brewer there said that 1,000 illegals cross the border in Arizona every day, and 80% of them have a criminal record. We can't sustain that many criminals into our country. So I like to say, and it's true, is Arizona did the outrageous act of making a crime out of something that was already illegal. And, you know, our federal government should be the ones enforcing our national sovereignty, our national borders, and they've not been doing their job. So they need to enforce the laws that we have on the books now, show good faith effort at doing that, and then you can start talking about the other issues, but not until then. So that's where I stand on immigration issues. I also will finish up by saying that you need a congressman or woman down there that have real-world experiences. Somebody that spent their life in Lansing or D.C. as a career is not the kind of person we need right now down in D.C., in my opinion. I believe the Founding Fathers wanted people that had real-world experiences and they could bring them to bear when they're crafting legislation and have the wisdom that flow through that legislation, you know, come through back to the states or wherever in the federal government so that it has real-world, you know, wisdom associated with it rather than, well, this sounds good on paper. Well, it may sound good on paper, but in the real world it may not work either. And right now we have a lot of that going on with these career politicians that write these incredibly long bills that nobody really knows what's in them. And then they say, well, we had the best of intentions. The reality is we need people that have citizen legislature mindsets, where they're going to go down to D.C. or go up to Lansing and not make a career out of it, make a vocation out of it, see it as a duty, and come home at some point. In my own mind, I have a 10-year term limit. And I believe we need more people like that to go down there and say, I'm going to leave at some point. I'm not going to be a John Dingell. I'm not going to make a career out of this. This should be something where you have a proven record of service and you don't get tainted by D.C. And I have a proven record of service through my Marine Corps service, and I'm not tainted by D.C. And I don't believe that, you know, I'm not interested in the trappings of office like a lot of people that parade around, you know, saying that they're down in D.C. and, you know, they're more important than anybody else. They're not. They're representatives of the people. And right now you have a crisis of consent where the people aren't appreciating what D.C.'s doing, but they have the raw power to do it, they're doing it anyway. That's why so many people are upset about what's going on in D.C. right now, because they've forgotten that they're subservient to the people. And I will never forget that. So with me, you have someone that offers a new vision, new eyes, looking at an old problem. We've been in a crisis in Michigan for a long time. And sometimes when you're in a crisis so long, you don't see it as clearly as when you get into it in a new sense. So when I come to Michigan and I see that we're in a bad shape, I go around these 7 counties that I'm trying to represent, and some of the counties have 15, 16, 17, 18, upwards 19% unemployment. It's bad. You know, we need to do something radical here to get people back to work. It starts, you know, with the man in the mirror, the person in the mirror, and it starts hopefully with the new governor, new legislature, and some radical changes at that level. And then I want to be part of the solution where I'm not glomming on unfunded mandates or some of the, or letting the EPA or other regulatory agencies get out of control like they are now. Congress has a responsibility to rein those animals in. And right now the EPA, the FTC, DHS even, are creatures that are created by Congress, but they're like Godzilla. You know, they grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're coming at Tokyo, and we're Tokyo. And nobody seems to be willing or able to stop them. There is a way to stop them. They're called resolutions of disapproval, but we don't use them for whatever reason. We need to. That's a mechanism to rein in their provisions that they promulgate out there. One example is, and I'll end with this. The President's been saying, so is Mark Shower, that we need to pass cap and trade. And if we don't pass cap and trade, the EPA is going to regulate carbon emissions on their own. Well, there's no choice there. That's like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. One's worse than the other.